Hello everyone, my name is Slade, I'll be your host, and welcome to Star Wars Did You Know? Today's video is going to be a little different than what I normally do. Normally on this channel we address various lore points of Star Wars, and there is going to be a little point of that here, a little bit of that in a way here. However, the point of this video is something of a milestone for me and for this channel. It's going to be the very first response video that I've ever done, whether on this channel or anywhere else for that matter. The response in this video is in reaction to a channel called Spacedock. They're a wonderful science fiction and lore channel that does amazing content. I highly recommend you check them out. There'll be a link to their channel down below, as well as the video, which in this case is called Warships of the Republic. It's a wonderful little video that explores several of the capital ship classes that were used by the Republic during the Clone Wars. Now, a couple things to note before we go forwards. This is not meant to be an attack on Spacedock or their video. It's a great video, as I said. I highly recommend you go check it out. This is merely a point of clarification, I feel, on my part, sharing some additional bits of lore and tidbits that were not included in their video. So without further ado, let's begin. The first subject we're going to cover is something that Spacedock addressed in their video, and it's one of my favorite starship classes in the Star Wars universe, the Victory class Star Destroyer. Now in the video, Spacedock mentions that the Victory class didn't see much combat and was introduced at the end of the war. And it is possible that they have different sources than I do, and I admit that what I'm going off of is expanded universe canon and not the Disney canon, but even checking the Disney canon, I don't see any references to exactly when the Victory came online in the Clone Wars, or how long it fought. However, in expanded universe canon, the Victory class came online at the very start of 20 BBY, and fought throughout the war thereafter. So it was online from at least about the halfway point of the war through its conclusion. And there was even a major formation called the Victory Fleet, which was formed entirely of Victory-class Star Destroyers to defend Coruscant and other key core worlds. Part of this fleet was commanded by future Rebel commander Jan Dodonna, then a member of the Republic Navy. Now it is true that the Victory class was introduced in the second half of the war, and certainly didn't see as much extended service as the Venator class, which it served alongside. However, it very obviously did fight in the war at several engagements, even if we haven't seen it directly referenced in the Clone Wars TV show. Although there is still a chance it will come around for Season 7, though I think that's unlikely. What I think happened in this case is that a bit of lore concerning the Victory class as a whole was confused or perhaps misinterpreted. And that is in the form of the Victory 2 class, a subsequent follow-on design to the original Victory class Star Destroyer. The Victory 2 was introduced at the conclusion of the Clone Wars. However, by that point, the war was essentially over, and the Victory 2 was passed over in favor of larger warships by the Galactic Empire. Now, the Victory 2, alongside the Tector and Imperator classes, which would later become the Imperial 1 class, were introduced for the Galactic Republic at the conclusion of the Clone Wars. However, all three Star Destroyer classes, the Victory 2, the Imperator/Imperial, and the Tector would see very limited, if any, combat during the actual Clone Wars because of how late in the war they were introduced. However, the Victory 1 did fight for at least a solid year, if not a little longer, alongside its stablemate, the Venator-class Star Destroyer. Having addressed that part of Spacedock's video specifically, I'm now going to transition to a little bit of lore on two ships, two cruiser classes, that served the Galactic Republic during the Clone Wars, from its beginning to its conclusion. Now, I'm not going to address every single class of ship that fought on the side of the Republic Navy, because if I did that, I'd be included a lot of warships that saw limited service, either because of their own technical limitations, a limited production number, or perhaps the fact that they were only served with a specific force within the Republic. However, as I mentioned, these two cruiser classes served from day one of the Clone Wars with the Republic, all the way through its conclusion, and even continued in service with the Galactic Empire. They are, of course, the Karak-class light cruiser and the Dreadnought-class heavy cruiser. We're going to address the Karak-class first. It was a 350-meter-long light cruiser armed with heavy turbolasers, ion cannons, tractor beam projectors, and the Republic Navy used it as a fast attack escort to screen their larger warships from lighter capital ships as well as starfighter attacks. The Dreadnought class was 600 meters long, carried quad laser cannons, turbo lasers, ion cannons, and saw heavy use throughout the Clone Wars, fighting at several major battles, including the Battle of Duro, Rendili, and Coruscant. It was often crewed by non-clone forces, as it was readily available, and many volunteer forces within the Republic Navy were given these ships to use, in addition to the fact that many Republic defense fleets had dreadnoughts in their service, which were then donated to the Republic Navy as a whole, in which they would fight throughout the Clone Wars. And as mentioned, both classes of ships would actually survive many of their Clone Wars era brethren and go on to serve in the Galactic Empire's Navy. Now, neither of these ships, to the best of my knowledge, has appeared on screen in the Clone Wars TV show, but they have appeared in various comics within the expanded universe. And I think it's important to make note of them, because they are a part of the lore that is there, and they were heavily used by the Republic Navy. And I admit fully, this is just a minor nitpick on my part, because I love the Star Wars lore, and I think that if you're going to have a list of Republic warships, you should include ships like this that were, according to the lore at any rate, used heavily, even if it only appeared in various books and comics, rather than the TV show. With that out of the way, this concludes my response video. As I mentioned, I'm not going to go into detail over all the different ships the Republic Navy used during the Clone Wars, but I just want to address these 3 ships specifically. And with that, thank you for watching. To Spacedock, keep doing what you do. I love it, I know others love it, and we all look forward to your next video. Alright everyone, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe. There'll be more content coming. If you've got any questions or comments, by all means leave them and I'll be responding to them shortly. Until next time, this is your host Slade, and this has been Star Wars Did You Know?